Coffee, everybody. I'm Sabrina Matanani. Thanks for starting your day the KUAM way. Welcome to Crime Time. We are here in the village of Tamuning. I'm with Officer Paul Tapao. This is actually specifically the area last Thursday where a 10-year-old girl was abducted and then later raped. Arrested in that case was 53-year-old Paul Santos Mofnis Jr., and he is a convicted and repeat offender of criminal sexual conduct. And Paul, thanks for joining me. I know you wanted to come here and you wanted to talk about this particular case.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for the opportunity to bring forth into the community, just pretty much how we can stay safe with our island. And it's unfortunate that it did happen. And, us with the Guam Police Department, our main goal was to provide safety. And if you look at the time frame in which our detectives had in receiving the case from patrol to actually making the apprehension, it really is a testament of their understanding of what needed to be done. And again, we want to go to the judicial process of giving due process, the rights to due process to Mr. Muffness. But nonetheless, it's unfortunate, and we would like to thank the community for their continued support with all our endeavors. And when we provided that information of the suspect car, it really brought light to the investigation with people coming and providing information.
I wanted to ask you about that response because it was Saturday morning. You sent out the release to the media. We have this vehicle, and we posted it on social media. Tell me about the response.
So not to really go in depth into everything, what I wanted to highlight was people giving information about and providing the assistance, such as businesses within the community, as our investigators were backtracking and stuff. But that's one aspect of the community, and of course that was shared in social media via the platform, whether it was WhatsApp or Facebook. That vehicle was shared, so it really helped with the information sharing and of course receiving information from the community and providing us and leading us with information that we actually utilize in drafting a warrant and of course making an arrest.
Okay, and take us back to that day and the details of this case for people who aren't familiar.
Okay, so shortly before, I want to say 7 o'clock, April 11th, a female minor was walking along this roadway, and the bus stop is just further down the street towards Strelugway, and she was
She said she was walking down
yeah,
this roadway.
and she was actually abducted and stuff, and it really, not to go too detailed and stuff, we're looking at a time frame between an hour. She was dropped off, and what we reported was that she was actually dropped off at her school, Tamuning Elementary, and from there we actually initiate the report, and we've proceeded with a full investigation with our criminal investigators and of course the assistance from our domestic assault response team. And it's really, we featured our DART and their efforts and with identifying April as criminal sexual assault month, and paying tribute to the survivors. Our advocate Audrey Rios was with that survivor throughout the whole ordeal from the beginning to the onset, and actually providing the support mechanism. So it's really a full holistic approach for the Guam Police Department and the community and our partners that we have.
And I was reading the court documents regarding this Mofness case, and initially, from what I understand, the little girl refused to get in the car, but somehow Mofness was able to lure her inside. And maybe just some advice to parents out there that have children that are walking on their way to the bus stop or anywhere that early in the morning or even at night alone.
Yeah, it does start with the parents, and you pretty much hit it in the head when advice to the parents. It starts with parents really teaching the kids about safety and how to go about being safe throughout the community. And the distance to walk to a bus stop, the parents need to take into account the time in which the kids are going to be walking. Are the kids going to be walking alone? But the parents have to develop a safety mechanism, such as reaching out to other parents and partnering up in which they can actually escort the kids. Because we do know the time frames in which the bus comes to pick up the kids. High school kids get picked up a bit early where there's hardly any light out. So with the time of the start of elementary and middle school, you actually have more light. That makes it more, provides the visibility and provides the safety. But nonetheless, it starts with the parents teaching the kids about stranger danger. identifying a stranger. Anybody that you're not familiar with is a stranger. Anybody that approaches you, take into consideration that something might happen, that something can happen, and teach them how to properly avoid those situations, how to not get into those situations.
What do you tell your children?
I tell my kids, if you don't recognize them, they're strangers.
Yeah.
Authority figure and everything. It's really it's the trust that's built, and this is where we need to teach kids. A stranger is a stranger. People that you don't know are considered strangers. Now, we teach kids to identify uniform officers, people who work in the civic side, such as firefighters and everything. We go out, but we also teach them how to identify them, whether their intent, and how to pick up whether it's going to be a good intent or a bad intent. But it's teaching them that first step in identifying what's a stranger and knowing the consequences that can happen when you do fall victim or prey. So it's really enforcing that. Now, what we're doing with the Guam Police Department is we're going to work with the schools. And, if we take this at a three-pronged approach for the parents, the schools, and the Guam Police Department, this is where we can actually solidify the teaching mechanisms for the kids in understanding what stranger danger is.
For victims and survivors, what kind of services or what kind of partners does the Guam Police Department have?
Well, initially ours is just a response out to the survivors and everything. So what we do is we network with other government agencies such as Guam Behavior. We partner with non-government organizations such as the Coalition, Healing Hearts, Addy Shelter, Varo and everything to provide the assistance, to provide the structure and the crutch. And this is going to be a tough ordeal for her to endure throughout the long haul because they still have to go to trial and stuff. And we still want to respect Mr. Muslin's right to due process. But speaking on the survivors aspect, it's that extension of care that is needed for all survivors. And we're still in the month of April, and we're still celebrating criminal sexual sexual assault awareness month. And what it's the services, it's the care providers that are out there that really do make the difference after the arrest and after the adjudication process, because care, it's simply not going to stop on within days, months. It can actually last 3 years. So, parents, be a part of that, be a part of the care, be a part of the mechanism, but always, always reiterate that you are not a victim, you are a survivor. You didn't ask for this. You're stronger than this, and just giving them strengths in which they feel that they're weak at their weakest point. It's how they help cope and how they help move them forward in life.
And for Mr.
Mr. Mothnes, do you have a comment?
In the court documents, it stated that this was an addiction for him, that he couldn't resist in terms of sexually abusing female minors. And the fact that he was sentenced 27 years in May of 1999, the parole board granted him a 5-year parole in 2014, and then early discharged him in 2018. I believe it was July 2018 for notable conduct. And then this happens. Some people may say that the system failed. And I mean, for GPD, it must be disappointing that when you arrested this guy, to learn that he was on he was on the sex offender registry, a level 1, and there were 4 victims in that 1999 case.
It's hard because we're the ones who actually are the first responders. We're the ones that actually do get exposed to the cases and everything. Now, the aftercare of an individual that gets incarcerated, it really is within line with the judiciary process. And then we're not going to really expound too much on what procedures and process they go through. But, understanding the cases and the volume of criminal sexual complaint cases that we're receiving as we did that crime time with our DART. These are, a lot of our cases are closed door cases where it's really the perpetrator or family members or people that they trust. And this is where we need to determine the trust mechanism. How do we distinguish whether my uncle, his intent is right or his intent is for wrongdoings? But nonetheless, we're seeing the volumes and everything, and this is where we do need to address it from a holistic approach from the community and understanding where can we provide the care and treatment for those that are incarcerated that may have developed an illness that we need to identify and stuff, because it's the process and care that needs to be provided also to the individuals that are incarcerated.
I also did want to ask, since this case was opened, and I know that you guys are still actively, investigating. But since the arrest of Mr. Mofness, have you guys received any other information, complaint, concerns? Because he's been out for a while, that he may have done this to somebody else. Any other girls that have came forward, or parents that have came forward to the Guam Police Department?
You know, right now our efforts are focusing on this case that happened in April 11th, or last week Thursday. We are willing to accept any supplementary information that may be separate and apart from this ongoing investigation. Now, if anybody, and I'm just talking about the perpetrator involved in this case, if anybody has any complaint of any criminal nature, please feel free. Contact a precinct that's near you. Contact our dispatchers at 472-8911, because it really is empowering you to take that step in reporting it. In order for survivors to seek justice, it's by taking that first step, mustering the strength to come forward and providing the information. Now, if anybody should have any information, or they may have encountered Mr. Muffness in the past, please, we can work in supplemental information, or separate and apart a different case that's separate from what had happened last week Thursday. Our dispatchers 472-8911, they can come forward. But again, where we are with this investigation, where the Guam Police Department is moving forward, is we're going to continue with with the onset, the judiciary side, where our guys are actually going to be testifying and providing information so that we can get a conviction for this case.
All right, we do have some people that are commenting on our Facebook stream, and Frank Cruz, he says the system did fail, especially with the parole board. And I did speak with Michelle Tysono. She is the chairwoman of the parole board, and of course she said she was saddened about what happened. She didn't remember all the specific details, but I did get a chance to read through the documents for his hearings, and as I understand it, he did complete all of the different programs that he was supposed to complete, and it was told even more. And so when they discharged him in 2014, it was for notable conduct. And it still just shocks me that if he went through all these programs and then he committed this crime, and then he says it's an addiction.
Mr. Mofness, do you have a comment?
It makes you wonder how many other people are out there.
It's from my personal, again, I can't expound on other agencies and how they function and stuff, because their operating procedures and stuff, it differs from what we do in law enforcement and of course with the community. But from my personal opinion to this, it really is a cry for help. If you really look at it, when somebody's coming forward that they're suffering to addiction, it's a cry for help. And how are we going to do this as a community? I mean, it is what it is. What happened, he committed the crime. We do have a survivor, we do have a victim. But if you really look at it, I believe he's reaching out for help. And how are we going to address that? How are we going to address the help to treat this addiction? Or maybe it's a sickness. Is it going to be clinical care? Is it going to be to rehab and stuff? It really has to be addressed from the professional level, whether it be Guam behavior, whether it be the experts within the Department of Correction, whether rehabilitation processes needs to be reevaluated. Again, it's really the system and how it's going to play. But in our side, with the Guam Police Department and law enforcement, we are at the onset. We are at the beginning phase of the judiciary process, and when we make when we effectuate the arrest, our goal is to get the conviction. Now, conviction, it's not a celebrated part in our side. A conviction is actually providing maybe if you look at it from a different perspective, it may be that opportunity for the individual to seek help while being incarcerated, while in the treatment and care, or while going to Guam behavior. This can actually be the first step in recovery.
Right, but again, he is a repeat offender, and he did go through all these programs, and so that's one of the reasons why we reported on it last night that Senator Therese Terlahi is actually going to be holding a roundtable meeting with Guam Behavioral Wellness Center and other people that are involved, and I believe including the parole board. Moving on, we do have some other comments. Thank you, KUAM, for the coverage as always. There was a comment here, and I'm having problems with figuring out how to use this phone, but they did say good job, GPD.
Yeah, thank you. Again, I want to applaud our from our patrol officers to really have that sense of compassion of treating the survivor because of where they were in that investigation. That was really, spot on. Again, our moving up with our domestic assault response team by providing the advocacy, and of course our detectives who worked around the clock to bring justice to this. I mean, I spoke with them, gave them the congratulations, and we're fathers. I have a daughter, and I guess I'm pretty much echoing where they were going with this investigation. Was this something where they needed to do? Absolutely. Every case, every crime that comes in, but this was different because of the fact that maybe they had that father figure, that father parental approach that, hey, this is somebody who didn't ask for this. This is where we're going to do our job the best in our ability to make sure that we do get justice for the survivor.
And when we also pray for the little girl. Is there any other final comments you wanted to make?
We are going to be moving forward where schools have reached out to us and everything and providing safe talk to the kids. We're going to take this again. We've had a meeting yesterday with our office and how we can actually hit the community. And, again, we're going to go with a three-prong approach. We're going to help educate the parents. We're going to work with the teachers to provide the substance in the school, and we're going to come in. But we're also going to be working with our neighborhood watch groups. One of the things that was actually spun up with our neighborhood watch groups are safe homes, places in which kids can actually bug out in the event they feel the stranger danger aspect is the next phase. Where can I go? Which businesses can be identified as a safe haven where, in the event something should happen, kids can bug out, kids can actually retreat to, homes that can be identified in a neighborhood. These are our most vulnerable victims. Really, are the kids. Parental supervision is not given. Really, when you look at it, you drive around the island. It's pretty much a bus stop is a soft target. Minimal to no parental supervision or adult supervision. How can we do to address that as a community by teaching the parents, working with the schools, working with DPW, working with the busing service to make sure that the adults, the service providers who take the kids under their wing to get to and from, that they all are also aware of what they can do to help. But we are moving forward with some different approaches with the Guam Police Department, our Community Affairs Office. We're going to be networking with the schools next week. We're going to work to see if we can actually do some safety programs in which we can do when we come back for this next start of next school year. Our efforts with the Neighborhood Watch program, we're going to introduce the safe home and the safe businesses that can actually adopt the concept and really open up or avail their businesses for a safe haven for kids in the event situations like this should happen.
All right, and I'm sure we'll be providing coverage on that. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Crime Time. I'm Sabrina Salas Metanani.